There's a developing story that could be disastrous for Senate Democrats. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin has announced that he is not seeking re-election. Welcome to the Daily Debrief. I'm Kevin Cirilli. Let's get right to it. The senior senator from West Virginia dropped the news in a social media video Thursday evening. Manchin's held his seat since 2010. He told his constituents that he's accomplished what he set out to do. But his announcement could hand Republicans a Senate seat in a deeply conservative state and the majority.
I believe in my heart of hearts that I have accomplished what I set out to do for West Virginia. I have made one of the toughest decisions of my life and decided that I will not be running for re-election to the United States Senate. But what I will be doing is traveling the country and speaking out to see if there is an interest in creating a movement to mobilize the middle and bring Americans together.
It's that part, mobilizing the middle, that has some Washington insiders speculating that Manchin could enter into the 2024 presidential race and upend the entire race. Joining me now is Jonathan Kott. He's a Democratic strategist as well as a former senior advisor to Senator Manchin. Jonathan, were you surprised to learn that your old boss isn't running for re-election?
No, I think he's been frustrated for a while with the partisan bickering in the Senate, and he's been thinking about this. And look, he's got 10 grandkids. He's 76 years old, and he's probably had one of the most historic Senate careers of any senator in my lifetime or the last 100 years. So I think, what he said is true. He's accomplished almost everything he's wanted to do, and it's time for him to look for another way to serve. And I'd take him at his word. I think he's going to start traveling the country and seeing if he can mobilize the moderate middle.
Well, Jonathan, it's a deeply conservative state. The governor, a Republican, Jim Justice, says that he's running for Senate. Was Manchin just scared that he was going to lose to Justice?
No, Manchin would have beat Justice, no problem. Even the NRSC poll had him, within 3 or 4 points. And not to steal a line from Allen Iverson, but, the lead up to this is practice for Joe Manchin. He's a game time player. He's a prime time player. So when the campaign would have started, he'd have run circles around Justice.
All right. But you mentioned this, that he's going to be traveling the country. Should he be running for president in 2024 or even on a unity ticket?
I don't know what he's going to do right now. He hasn't told me anything about that. I know he wants to see if there's a middle out there and if he can actually motivate them to be more active. He thinks both sides have, fringes and extreme elements, and there's 60 to 70% in the middle who just want to get done, and they're tired of not being able to pass bills that have 80% support in the country. Should he run for president? Oh, I don't know what he's going to do, and he'll make that decision on his own. When I was working for him, he didn't always listen to me, so I'm not going to start giving him advice now. Well, do you think that Joe Manchin is still a Democrat? Oh, yeah. He's a West Virginia Democrat. He's always said it's different from being a national Democrat. He's got different values, and, he doesn't really care about what the national party thinks. He cares about what West Virginians think. All right. We never used to poll in the office because he would get calls every day from 304 numbers back home. I want to bring in Shermichael Singleton. He's a Republican strategist. Shermichael, thanks for being here. How does Manchin's departure impact the Senate map in 2024?
Well, look, I think Governor Justice is going to be a shoo-in as Republicans have a good opportunity to pick up the Senate. Democrats are obviously going to be defending far more seats. It'll still be pretty slim in terms of the overall majority, but I feel pretty confident that Mitch McConnell, if he remains, will be the majority leader by the end of the election mid-November. With that said, though, I just want to touch on quickly the fact that Manchin is potentially exploring a third-party run with the backing of no labels should be very concerning for the Democratic Party and President Biden.
Why? Elaborate.
Well, look at the polling numbers, right? You have a significant number of Democratic voters, independent-leaning Democratic voters who want someone else other than President Biden. Younger voters want someone else other than President Biden. The strongest cohort of voters for Democrats, African Americans, have seen their approval ratings for the president decrease around, 35%, according to some polls. That spells serious trouble for the president. And now you have the president's posturing with Israel and Hamas and many activists in places places like Michigan are saying many Muslim Americans will stay home and not vote for the president in 2024. And so all of those variables, Kevin, have to be looked at very seriously, and they do spell deep trouble for the current president.
Well, Shermichael, I asked this to Jonathan. I want to put it to you, though. You've represented a more moderate Republican and frequently talk about that. Would you have liked to have seen Manchin flip parties and join the Republican Party versus someone like a Governor Justice taking the seat in West Virginia for the Senate?
You know, look, Governor Justice is well known by the voters of West Virginia, and I'm going to trust that the voters will more than likely elect him. They're familiar with him. They more than likely believe he's done well to represent their state. And as Jonathan said, Manchin is not a Republican. He's not a conservative. He is an old school blue dog Democrat, and I respect that. But no, him switching parties would not have appeased me, and I'm almost certain it wouldn't have appeased most Republicans either.
All right, let me ask you on this, though. The government shutdown looming just a couple of days away. They've got to get to some type of congressional agreement. Shermichael, are the Republicans going to be able to get on the same page? There seems to be a clear divide among Senate Republicans and House conservatives.
Yeah, you know, look, I know newly elected Speaker Mike Johnson very well, and I'm clearly supporting him, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to figure out a way to wrangle support with the House to get support from Senate Republicans. Now, the Speaker wants to do a continuing resolution up until January without aid from Ukraine. Minority Leader Senate Mitch McConnell has made it very clear the Senate Republicans will not support such a CR. Democrats have made it clear by Majority Leader Schumer they will not support such a CR. So they're going to have to figure out a way to do some dealing there, Kevin, but I'm hopeful in the next 6 days that we'll be able to avoid this shutdown. I don't think it'll be good for Republicans or the newly elected Speaker.
All right, last question for each of you. We're going to start with Shermichael. Jonathan, jump in. Should Manchin run for president in 2024? Who does that help Trump or hurt Trump in a general election? And likewise for Biden. Shermichael, you first.
I mean, look, I think some of the polling is kind of clear that it will hurt President Biden. I think more competition is better. Most Americans don't really want President Trump or former President Trump or President Biden running. Most people want options. And so I say give the American people options and let's see where this thing goes and how it plays out.
Jonathan.
I think we've seen polls be wrong for the last 5 or 6 years, so I'm not going to comment on that. I think polls were wrong Tuesday night, and Democrats trounced Republicans everywhere across the country. So I think Manchin's just going to listen to people, see if he can mobilize that middle and bring America together. That's what he's focused on right now.
All right, Jonathan Kott, former senior advisor to Senator Joe Manchin, as well as with an Allen Iverson reference, not lost on me as a Sixers fan, as well as Shermichael Singleton, a Republican strategist. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks,
and
Kevin.
that does it for me. If I'm Kevin Cirilli, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page, The Hill, so you never miss any content. I'll see you back here soon at the crossroads of politics and policy.